On today's Hot Sheet, I'm discussing mortgage rates dropping below 6%, housing inventory data, and the best markets for first-time homebuyers. Today is Monday, January 12, 2026. I'm Byron Lazine, and the Hot Sheet starts now. Here we go. Live. Naples, Florida. It's a pleasure to be with you, wherever you may be. I got some buddies. Miami, I think this is illegal, but gave me some Cubans, maybe out of JFK's vault. Some beautiful Cuban. Might be time to light up a Cuban here on the Hot Sheet with the big 599 that happened on Friday. But Haley, cut the music. Don't light up the sticks. Don't celebrate too fast, because as we've seen in the past, these moments of rate drops have vanished very quickly in the past. 6.06 was the final read on Friday. I saw so many 5-handle posts. That was about an hour. It was about an hour on Friday. Now, I love the 5-handle. I love my cigars too, by the way. I love the 5-handle. I want the 5-handle. I appreciate, I guess, the 1 hour of the 5-handle, but that lasted literally an hour. Sometimes you get 2 reads on the 30-year fixed. And the final read on Friday was 6.06. Now, listen, I played the song for some of you guys who said I was biased there last week. I like it when kind of a plan comes to fruition. But as I said last week, is this a Band-Aid? Will it be lasting? Is it long-term solution making? Investors seem to not like something. The investors seem to not love something going on here today, because the 10-year, which is what the 30-year fixed mortgage is going to follow, is up almost to 4.2, most we've seen in the last 30 days. So great Friday, happy Friday, as they say. What's the long-term outlook? Where are we at long-term? Okay. I don't know. It might be, listen, it might be something to do with this. Okay. I don't know if you guys saw this. Powell almost looks like a hostage here in this video message last night. Video message from Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell. I'm not going to play it. It's about a minute long. Talks about there's a DOJ investigation on the Federal Reserve Chairman. And that DOJ investigation has to do with the over budget spending on the Federal Reserve buildings that Jerome Powell oversees. Remember, one thing I love about that is Jerome Powell says, well, we don't use the Americans' money for these, for the building of these, or the renovations of the Federal Reserve building. We make our own money. Yeah, you print money, but you don't make anything. So how do you make money? But regardless, I've been hard on Jerome Powell for his reactions to inflation. Called it transitory when it clearly wasn't. Kind of waited too long to respect that the numbers were going down. But this is something that markets do not like. They don't like politics, because what Jerome Powell said in the meeting, he goes, yeah, this ain't about I don't believe this is, obviously his opinion. I don't believe the DOJ investigation is about budget overrun. It's about me not lowering the rates. Listen, the market feels the same way, I would say. Dow falls 300 points as DOJ Powell probe raises fear that the president is trying to take control of the Fed. Okay, so you do a mortgage-backed security deal last week, which, hey, if you couple short-term solutions with long-term plans, that's really good. Okay, and it worked for about an hour. But when you don't have a long-term solution and then every single lever available you're pulling to try to tweak those rates down, it shows you as well it's not that easy to get the rates down. The market right now, investors are reacting negatively to this, which is going to cause rates to go up today. The mortgage-backed security news just got wiped out by this news. So, it's the lowest level we've seen in 3 years from the mortgage bond, but things change very quickly. And I'd be hesitant to say that all the plans being put out there are effective or working. And some of these seem to be counter effective. We hit the 599 for about an hour yesterday or Friday. As rates come down, it increases affordability. Rates coming down is the fastest path to instant affordability. So assuming a 20% down, 30-year mortgage, 1.25% property tax rate, and a 0.5% homeowner insurance rate with no HOA. These are the payments. Okay. So, you get into where we were for about an hour yesterday or Friday, and you get to 599, you have a $1,500 payment on, let's say, $240,000. Okay. And, we were closer to 1,500 on 200,000, just about a year ago. So affordability improves as these rates come down. Looking at a $3,500 payment, you get 562,000 of buying power from where we were, basically where we are right now, and kind of where we were a year ago. That goes down to almost $500,000. So affordability improves dramatically when we get these, swings of interest rates. But as I said before, the mortgage, you might get a quarter point. You got it for about an hour. It already looks like some of it's going to get erased today because the bond markets are going to react when they see certain things. So, and it's really, when you talk about the totality, 200 billion of mortgage-backed securities, that's up against a trillion or two that the Fed already holds. So you're not changing the world here. It's something, it's not nothing. So here's how we want to think about this. One, buyers. Okay. When buyers see movements like this, they're not going to see it. You've got to bring that information to them. You're the advisor. But when these moments happen, it's important that we showcase how often they disappear. Okay. You see sharp declines over the past year. You can see all the sharp declines followed by an eraser coming in and wiping out the sharp decline shortly after. We saw it in the spring. Okay. On February 12th of 25, we were at 7.13. By March 4th, we were at 6.7. That's great news because by, April 4th, we were at 6.6. And then by April 11th, we were at 7.07. So the news, the data can impact these dramatically. So when you get a little pop, like you just had, when you get a little bit of relief, like you just had, the buyers who typically win in these environments are the first mover advantage. Okay, think COVID. Was it the buyers who waited for everybody to realize that rates were low, who were competing with 20 plus offers? Or was it the ones that said, wow, rates are down, they're coming down, and there's opportunities out there. I'm going to be first. I'm not going to be last or in the middle with the herd. That's how I overpay. That's how I over negotiate. That's how I get emotional. How about the sellers who are winning? Okay. We know in a spring market, naturally, the sellers who are at the first half of the spring market face less inventory, less competition. Okay. Now, these sellers also get the advantage, if the rate is low, of locking in on their next buy. So I would argue that sellers right now have an opportunity in the market. Sharon Srivatsa, BAM board member, friend of BAM, of course, also agrees with that. Put an article out on, it's live today, nowbam.com. What should we be doing as these rates drop? Listen, I would argue, and I like Sharon here, says everyone calls buyers. He's giving a lot of respect to agents. A lot of agents don't call their buyers. They should be. You're the advisor. But buyers react to rates immediately if they have the information, as they should. So what Sharon is talking about is, how do you start the conversation with a seller? Okay. And here's a great conversation starter. I'm seeing something happening in the market right now that most agents are not talking about with their clients. It could be a good opener for buyers or sellers. And it talks about, hey, if you knew the right home was available for you today, you have more negotiating power, obviously, on the buy side. Would selling your home make this whole process easier or harder for you? You have the advantage of the rate right now. All right, we'll be working on some conversations like that tomorrow in the Role Play Mastermind in BAMX on School. We also have the call challenge starting today. There couldn't be a better day to start the call challenge. Go to school.com/BAMX to jump into today's call challenge. Running for the next 4 weeks. We have weekly prizes. Go to school.com/BAMX. Hit the call challenge classroom. Get all the details if you're a BAMX member. Call challenge starts today. So buyers and sellers, at the very least, should be receiving this information from their real estate professional, their think financial advisor. Would your financial advisor be avoiding the telephone if the Dow had a 10% drop? Now the Dow's dropping today based on the DOJ investigation against Powell. But it's not going down 10%. So you're not going to probably hear from your financial advisor. This is a reactionary moment to basically political stuff that's happening. But if the market went down 10%, you'd be hearing from your financial planner. They'd have something available for you at least to digest of what's going on, how they're thinking about it, how they're protecting money, some of the moves that they're making. And if you're an agent right now, you have a moment in time, you have a snapshot, which might get erased this afternoon, by the way. You might get erased this afternoon with where the 10-year is, but you have a moment in time. That's why I didn't light up the cigar, because by the time I'm done with the cigar, this whole thing could be erased. You use the moments that you have available. Okay. Mike Beck, agree with you. This president is not going to be taking many naps. I agree with that. But with that fast-paced environment that we have here in the White House, you're going to have some, as the focus right now is on the midterms for the White House, affordability and housing is the target right now. There's going to be some moves that have instant gratification like we saw on Friday. And then there's going to be these counterpunching moves, a DOJ investigation against Jerome Powell. Now, I think Jerome Powell's incompetent. Like, if I had to pick one side, competent or incompetent, I'm leaning more towards incompetent. The guy's very politically motivated himself. He called inflation transitory up until the moment President Biden reappointed him. So I get it, but the market doesn't like this type of political warfare around the Fed. They want consistency. They want stable hand, all of that. Okay. You're already seeing senators come out now saying, I will not confirm any Fed chair until this DOJ investigation's over. So, you get instant gratification with the $200 billion MBS announcement last week, and then boom, this happens and it might erase it. So a quarter of a point can get erased that you had with this MBS announcement very quickly. And it just highlights my point last week that a quarter point is not a long-term solution to any of this. It's sudden. Take advantage of it if you get the opportunity, but don't hang your hat on it. Lasting. Okay. The impact of rates right now here in this early spring will be interesting, or, winter before we heat up into spring are going to be interesting. We've got our first inventory update here of the new year. It's been 2 weeks. We've got the mortgage tracker out from Logan Motoshami. I'll walk you through it. Okay. Weekly inventory fell from 720,000 to start the year. That's where we entered January, down to 686,000. So inventory growth right now, year over year, is under 10%. The inventory growth is at 9.99%. Inventory growth at one point last year was at 33+%. So we've lost a bunch of inventory if we're going to have low rates to start the spring, which I want. I want to be clear. I want low rates. I'm all for low rates. To get low rates, if we're going to have some low rates, and we've got inventory at 10%, we may not get the gains in inventory that we were seeing last year. So this is a sharper decline to start the year. You get a 1 week decline, and it typically will do what it's done these last 2 years. If you look back on history, it'll stay roughly flat around this level for the better part of 2 months before you start to see the spring uptick. Okay. This is why I like sellers hitting this curve right here before all the competition is out. But when the majority of the buyers over the next 2 months, a lot of buyers are going to enter the market, especially if rates are going to be considerably lower than where they were at the start of last spring, which was up over 7%. So inventory growth now under 10% year over year. Starting the year at 686,000. Same week last year, we were starting at 6.25. So better than last year, and but not better than most. If you go historically, better than most. If you're a golf fan, you know the reference there. New listings come out on the first week at 39,000 versus 44,000 last year. So slower start than each of the last 2 years on new listings. And we're not getting any early signs that new listings are going to be off to the races and getting more, in line with normal levels. Price reductions right now are in line with where we were last year, about 34-35%. It's where they were last year. So homes on the market at their normal rate of about a third of homes will lower the price before selling. And that's where we're at right now. Spread between the 30-year and the 10-year. Okay. See the 10-year going up today. Good thing this is getting closer and closer to normal, which is about right here, 1.8. Much better place than where we were last year, 2.3 to start the year. And that led to those plus 7%. If this continues to move back towards normal, there's projections will get to normal about 1.8. You could then see the 30-year continuing to move down. But when we're talking about a spread between a 10 and a 30-year, you are seeing a 10-year move up here this morning on some of this news, and you could see the 30-year move up despite the better spread. Mortgage application index here. Okay, look at this, 2026 here, starting the first week, well above levels of last year. Last year's level beat 24 on almost every week. And I would expect that to be the same here as we start this year with much lower rates than where we started last year. Total pending home sales in a slightly healthier place than we were last year. 256, almost 257,000 on total pendings, according to Altos Research, versus 252,000 at this time last year. So slightly up on pending. The trend lines were dangerously close in 25 to 24, which puts us on the kind of basement numbers of around 4 million existing home sales. Look for improvement there this year if we're going to hit the projections on an increase on existing home sales. Okay, there's your inventory update, not only for the first week of the year, but to start the year. And we'll keep our eyes on that each and every single week as we kick off these hot sheets every single week. Okay, Realtor.com put out first-time home buyer best markets for 2026. I'll run through how they got here, okay? Affordability is weighted 25%. Local amenities weighted 25%. Maybe would have given affordability a bigger bump. Housing availability, 10%. Young peers, 10%. Commute quality, 10%. Economic health, 10%. Housing outlook, 10%. And here are their best markets for first-time home buyers, giving those metrics for as we start 2026. Rochester, New York, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, Granite City, Illinois. Look at the median listing prices on these, all 150 or under. Birmingham, Alabama, 148,000. Little Rock is 170. That's the highest price yet. Syracuse, New York, median listing price is 169. Baltimore, Maryland, 223. St. Louis Park, Minnesota, 375. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, 250. And Garfield Heights, Ohio, 140. Look at the prices on these. So those are your top 10 first-time homebuyer markets as identified. So very rural, small areas, smaller areas rather, or small cities make up the list. Small city and or rural areas making up the list here on your top 10 first-time homebuyer list, according to Realtor.com. All right. As mentioned, 10-year really starting the day here, kind of behind the eight ball now. The Dow is falling 400 points based on the news today with the Fed. 10-year losing momentum that we've seen here throughout, the last couple of weeks. Remember, it was looking pretty good. We're back up to 4.189. Okay. And so over the last 30 days, this is the highest level, or just at the highest level from 30 days ago. This is near peak levels for the last 90 days, and certainly the highest level here in the last 5 days on the 10-year, potentially erasing some of the momentum that we saw in the 30-year fixed on Friday. We saw a 5.99 flash in the pan. I loved it. 6.06. That's a new low for the last 3 years. That's a new 12-month low, and it is now the 2026 low. Remember, the 599 was the first reading of a Friday. They end the day on what's going to be the low. So that 6.06 is going to be considered the low here for 2026. Okay. So, some good news here to start the year, but there is going to be a strong push on rates. You definitely have a contentious Fed and administration right now. CME Group says no chance, 95% certainty the Fed does not change the rates on this January meeting. And, there really wasn't much of a chance based on what Powell said in the December meeting. Poly markets got it at a 96% chance that no change will happen. Haley, cue the music here. I'm still feeling good. I'm not biased at all. I might be waiting to light up my premium Cuban cigar. Shout out to Jose and Dexter over there in Miami who illegally gave me these. A couple of good friends. Maybe I'll just be smoking some nice Nicaraguan. Maybe Emperor Alexander might be good. It's my middle name, by the way. All right. Yeah, I'll be lighting up, but maybe not the celebratory smokes just yet. I'm with you guys. I want low rates. I'm not against them. I'm not against any of the politicians that you love. Just remember, they're not going to make your calls. And in fact, they're worried about getting reelected or getting their side reelected in the midterms, and they'll say and do whatever is good for that. You got to talk to your clients. You got to advise them that these things shift very quickly. We got enough evidence of that over the last year. There's a lot of shifts. There's not going to be a huge tailwind. Call challenge starts today for BAMX members. Get into school.com/BAMX. We'll see you in the call challenge. That's the important stuff. Taking this information and advising our sellers and buyers what to do with it in real time, how to take advantage of it. I'll see you guys on the Role Play Mastermind tomorrow before the hot sheet, and then I'll see you back on the hot sheet. Until then, toodaloo.